Morning. It's good to be with you this morning. Whether you were here in the sanctuary or you were watching from home, it's good for all of us to be together. Each month, Unitarian Universalist congregations across the nation are participating in the Soul Matters program to explore a spiritual theme together in religious education, small groups, worship, and more. As we settle into our time of worship together for this month's Soul Matters theme, which is a people of play, I offer these words by the Reverend Scott Taylor. May they help center us in worship this morning. We are all playing it up, playing it down, trying to play fair, playing for keeps, playing favorites, playing it safe, sometimes too safe. He plays hardball, they're playing house. I'm playing it by ear, or at least I'm learning to play it by ear. She's tired of playing second fiddle. He's playing right into their hands. Please, God, can't we all just throw out the playbook and start again? Sometimes we're just played out. It's not always bad to play possum. And what about playing with fire? Let's hope so, friends. Don't you want to feel that burning within and let it loose? In this moment, may we begin.
Come, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the purple heather. Will you go? Let me go. Together to pull while the mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go? Let it go. I will build my love and time. All around the purple heather, will you go, lad, we go, and we'll all go together to pull while the mountain thyme. All around the blooming heather, will you go, laddie, go?
The flaming chalice is the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the tradition in which this congregation stands. I invite you to rise as you are able for the lighting of our chalice. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. Will you please join me in reciting the words on the screen? As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to build a Unitarian Universalist community that transforms lives and empowers people to serve the world. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. And please remain standing. Our opening hymn this morning is number 301. Bill is going to lead us, and we are going to try singing this morning, but sing quietly. That has never been a problem for this congregation before, so I don't anticipate it will be a problem this morning, but don't sing out too much. We're going to try this morning.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land, our faith a quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky, children ask the reasons why. In our lives the answers show, and by our love they learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die. Lies the time left in between, to follow a star, to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can give, for this is what it means to live. Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever high. Spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
Please be seated. Good morning again. I'm James Kubel-Komodo, the lead minister of this congregation. If you are visiting for the first time this morning, either here in person or online at home, I'd like to offer you a very special welcome. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, we are intentionally inclusive, liberally religious, and actively serving the common good of Wake County and our larger world. whoever you are. And wherever you are on your own spiritual and religious journey, you are welcome here. As Unitarian Universalists, we seek wisdom and inspiration from many sources while affirming our own individual conscience and experience as the best authorities for our beliefs. We are also committed to making this world we share more compassionate and just, and hope you might join in one of our many efforts to do so. If you are visiting us for the first time and haven't already done so, I invite you to stop by our welcoming stand, our visitor stand, right outside the sanctuary doors. And if you are visiting us online for the first time, I invite you to fill out our visitor form at www.uufr.org/visitor form. If you do this, you'll start receiving our weekly e-newsletter. So, and for all of you here in person, we are trying something brand new this morning. We are going to have a social hour, coffee hour, right outside the front doors up on the upper patio. We're going to try it out there this morning. We got a little bit of shade. If it happens to sprinkle, we got a roof out there. So we're going to try that and see how it goes. And after you get your coffee or tea, feel free to remain on the upper patio or wander down to the lower courtyard or even over to the memorial garden. Since we're not on Zoom and don't have our names right below our faces all the time, just please remember to wear your name tags, and our name tag racks are now downstairs in the lower entryway. If you can't find a name tag, there's always one outside at the welcoming stand. As we meet and greet each other this morning, please remember to ask one another whether they are comfortable or most comfortable hugging, shaking hands, elbow bumping, or just waving wistfully from afar. I now invite you to meet and greet one another. For everybody at home, please do so using the chat function on your screen. Let's meet and greet one another. Folks, I hope you'll continue those conversations during social hour. It's still extra special to see each other in person, isn't it? This is a time in our service when we acknowledge some of the joys and sorrows of our shared community. Anyone is invited to email a joy or sorrow to joysandsorrows@uufr.org before 9 a.m. on Sunday. And anyone is also invited to come forward and light a candle before the service and fill out one of our cards if you'd like your joy or sorrow shared during the service. Folks at home may also share a joy or sorrow using the chat function on your screens. Reverend Sasha and I lit a few candles this morning on behalf of all of us. We lit one candle for all of those dead and unaccounted for, as well as their families after the condominium collapse earlier this week in Surfside, Florida. May we hold those families especially in our hearts during this anxious time. I lit a candle this morning for all of those living in the Pacific Northwest, both people and animals, who are dealing with historic, record-breaking, scary temperatures. As our nation marks the 52nd anniversary of the Stonewall uprisings tomorrow, I wish all of our LGBTQ plus members here this morning, as well as their families, as well as all of our LGBTQ plus siblings all around the world, a very happy Pride celebration. As we reflect on these joys and sorrows, as well as the joys, the sorrows, the fears, and hopes of our own lives, let's be together now for a time of stillness and silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us, between us, and all around us, called by many names but known to every human heart. That spirit that leads us to a fuller experience of life. After the silence, we'll remain seated, and Bill will lead us in singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. But now, let's be together in stillness and silence.
Spirit of life, come to me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Oh, in the wind, rise in the sea. Shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Mark Twain once said, "To get the full value of joy, you must have someone to divide it with." Much of what we do here at UUFR is only possible because of the generous financial gifts that so many of you provide to this congregation, to our common life together. Those gifts make a difference to the people within the walls of this congregation and in the larger world. Will the ushers please come forward for this morning's offering?
Oh, I knew it. Take your time finding those offering baskets.
We have several short readings this morning. Every December, I host a tree trimming party. I serve chili with cornbread and lots of good wine. It's a wonderful party, and it shows just how much adults like to play. Maya Angelou. Play is anything we do for the joy and love of doing it, apart from any profit, compulsion, or sense of duty. It is the real living of life with the feeling of freedom and self-expression. Walter Rauschenbusch. To play is to listen to the imperative inner force that wants to take form and be acted without reason. It is the joyful, spontaneous expression of oneself. Michel Cassou and Stuart Kublai. From the Greek word selig, which means blessed, comes the English word silly. I like to think that there is something sacred about the ability to be silly, to play, to laugh, and to be childlike. June Mac Maffin. In play, we move below the level of seriousness, as the child does. But we can also move above it in the realm of the beautiful and the sacred. Johann Huizinga. And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. Cahill Gibran. Who says God has to be so serious all the time? That God can't have some fun? Go on a lark, crack a good one. Who says God can't evolve a platypus instead of a woodchuck, or flightless bird, just as a joke? Or give you a gorgeous sunset just to see the expression on your face? Jesus' first miracle was a party trick. Pure fun, wine from water. The Reverend Steve Garnes Holmes. It is neither work nor play, purpose or purposelessness that satisfies us. It is the dance between. Bernard de Koven. And Bet, how are we doing? Are we ready for you? About. We'll be patient.
Last night I dreamed that I fell with the guitar in my hand, getting on the stage. Maybe that was a premonition that something was going to happen today. You know, I was lowering the pitch of the string, and you would think that it would not pop when you lowered the pitch, but I was surprised. So thank you so much for your patience. Turning over stones is a term that means to do everything to achieve a good result. Well, I certainly didn't do that, but I tried really hard. And, but often, especially when looking for something. So this is called Turning Over Stones, and it's based on a real life experience, and I'm sure you might have had some too. I was on my hands and knees pulling weeds in my favorite place, the garden. I love to feel the moist dirt between my fingers. It's not a chore, it's my zen. The plants have soaked up 90 years of sunshine and rainfall on their leaves. There are rock walls spaced between them, carefully placed underneath. Between the rose and peony, I checked my necklace but did not see the special pendant someone made for me. The silver guitar worked itself free. Shaken beyond any tears as it graced my neck for many years. Like an arm, it was part of me. I'm sad I may never see it again. I don't give up easily. I'll search till it comes back to me. I'll find it eventually, turning over stones. Every time I go outside, I dig a bit and keep my hopes high. I found the gravestone of a dog that someone loved 60 years ago. Something shiny caught my eye, my heart raced, and so did I. To find a little bracelet someone wore, but it's not what I was looking for. I don't give up easily. I'll search till it comes back to me. I'll find it eventually, turning over stones. This garden is filled with stories. Most are not mine to tell. I have discovered them and left some behind as well. Rusty bucket, croquet ball, a toy truck, and a porcelain doll. Treasures, yes, each one of them to someone else way back when. Neath every rock was a history accidentally lost in time. I gathered them through the years, now what's left for me to find? I don't give up easily, my pendant I may never see. I hope someone finds it eventually, turning over stones, turning over stones, turning over stones, turning over stones.
Thank you, Bet, for your music. A few years back, when I was still in seminary preparing to one day become a Unitarian Universalist minister, I had a job at Xerox. I worked as an accounting administrative assistant in Xerox's accounts payable department. There were 5 other people on my accounts payable team, and for a bunch of people who sat really hunched over our keyboards all day crunching numbers, we were a fun-loving group. Yes, even the accountants on the team. One man, our team lead, loved to crack jokes and trick us all with gentle pranks. Another coworker at Xerox was always telling amusing stories to compare her life growing up in Poland to life in the United States. She was always making fun of our bread. Another team member, a deeply devout Christian, knew that I was in seminary, and so often responded to my work-related inquiries with humorous Bible verses. He would just send me the chapter and verse and make me look it up, and it was always something funny. And another coworker always got the whole team to dress up each Halloween and decorate our cubicles in the most elaborate ways possible. Like one year, we pretended to be a touring band and groupies at Woodstock and transformed our cubicles into a variety of VW vans. And we got pulled aside by our boss for having spent very nearly the entire week leading up to Halloween decorating our cubicles and not actually working. And then there was our coworker, Holly. One day when I asked Holly what she enjoyed doing during her spare time, she gave me a look of such abject confusion that I felt the need to add, what do you do for fun? Holly shrugged and said, I don't know, cook dinner, watch TV. I thought that surely there must be more. She's on the team of the Woodstock people. So I elaborated and I said, what are your hobbies? Do you paint? Do you sing? Or do you play sports or do board games? And she finally answered with some scorn, I don't do that kind of stuff. I am an adult. Like Holly, we so often think about play as something that children do. Childhood is supposed to be a light-hearted time of fun and games, or at least that is what we hope for each child. Kids play, but adults? We often associate adult life with work. Many adults have jobs, and even if we're unemployed or retired, there is still work to be done. We often have families to take care of and errands to run. Adults do housework, yard work, volunteer work, or even self-work. After all that work maintaining our lives, there isn't much time left over for leisure or play. The Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that in the United States, the average employee works almost 9 hours a day, but engages in only 5 to 6 hours of leisure activities. That's any activity that is not work, volunteer, religious duties, or maintaining your life. And women often enjoy less leisure time than men. Play is only one kind of leisure activity, so we get less play than other kinds of activities like reading a book, watching television, calling a loved one on the phone, or going for a jog. All of these are enjoyable, or at least can be, but are not necessarily play. Play is seen as the domain of children, and as such it is sometimes seen as childish. An adult who plays might be seen as immature, irresponsible, undignified, or trivial. Play is often seen as wasteful, as a frivolous and self-indulgent misuse of time and sometimes of money as well. Play is seen as an irresponsible distraction from more important things in life. Now, you may have seen a joke circulating recently on social media. The joke compares European and American out-of-office replies. First, there's the European out-of-office reply. I'm away camping for the summer, it reads. Email again in September. And then there's the American out-of-office reply. I have left the office for 2 hours to undergo surgery, but you can reach me on my cell at any time. And even when the adults do allow ourselves time away from our responsibilities to play, so often we are pressured to still do so in ways that do not serve our own well-being so much as our capitalist society. Such a high value is placed on productivity and professionalism that play sometimes only feels justified if it has some kind of positive impact on our workplace performance. As an example, when doing research for this sermon on the amount of time that workers in the United States spent on leisure activities, the very first search result to pop up on Google was telling. It was an article titled, "How to Spend Your Leisure Time to Be More Successful." Rather than playing for the sheer joy of it, adults are encouraged to play in ways that will help us get ahead in life, in the game of life, or play act our roles to perfection. And if play does not somehow serve in these ways, it is seen as inappropriate. Play, our society tells us, must not distract us from our adult responsibilities. But these are lies. These are lies that society tells us about play and its appropriateness that aren't just innocuous little white lies. These are lies that can hurt us on a soul deep level. In James Matthew Barrie's Peter Pan, there's a sad little scene. One day, when Wendy was 2 years old, she was playing in a garden, and she plucked a little flower and ran with it to her mother. I suppose she must have looked delightful, for Mrs. Darling put her hand to her heart and cried, "Oh, why can't you remain like this forever?" This was all that passed between them on the subject, but henceforth Wendy knew that she must grow up. You always know when you are 2. 2 is the beginning of the end. So many of us tell ourselves that we ought to leave play behind in childhood along with other childish things, but George Bernard Shaw has it right when he said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." Adults need play every bit as much as children do. And we need real play, not the kind that one might do in service to our adult responsibilities, but the kind of play that we do for the sheer joy, that intense joy of doing it. Because the lies that our society tries to tell us about the appropriateness of play for adults is poison. And play is a soul-healing remedy. Let me give you an example. I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but I'm wearing blue lipstick today in honor of yesterday's Blue Lipstick Saturday at General Assembly. Each year, General Assembly brings together Unitarian Universalists from congregations all over the United States and sometimes even around the world for a time of worship, learning, business, and yes, play. In a recent Facebook post, my colleague, the Reverend Casey Slack, talked about the history and meaning of Blue Lipstick Saturday at General Assembly. They wrote, "In the 6 years since Blue Lipstick Saturday unofficially started as a silly thing among friends, I have seen over and over that it is not just a silly thing. It is a joyful thing. It is an invitation to resist respectability politics and the idea that our whole, loud, glamorous, and intense queer selves don't fit in what it means to be a religious professional, a person of faith, or a person who gets to be in public at all. It's an invitation to recognize the absolute joy of being different people, all made of the sparkly and mundane dust of creation, fully imbued with holy creativity, possibility, and yes, shine." Adults need play every bit as much as children do, even if the play that we engage in maybe looks a little bit different than it does when kids are playing, like wearing blue lipstick to a national gathering of UUs. Play, in whatever form we engage in as adults, helps us resist and recover from the toxic messages that our society feeds us every day about our worth, about our bodies, about how we should be spending our limited, precious time on this earth, a right to occupy space, and more. And play is a kind of holy work. Play can help us deepen our relationship with the sacred. When we allow ourselves to play, we open ourselves up to the creative processes unfolding around and within us. And because we don't merely observe play, but participate in it, play is one way that we can become co-creators with the forces that give, sustain, heal, renew, and transform life for the good. Ben Witherton, paraphrasing the theologian Jürgen Moltmann, says it this way: play is kingdom foreshadowing. It is a momentary escape into the future reality that God has intended for us all. Jane Ackerman, on the other hand, talks about deep play as a sort of spiritual realm, the sacred playground where only the present moment matters, one's history and future vanish. The deep play world is fresh, holy, absorbing, and full of its own wisdom and demands. And G.K. Chesterton said it succinctly: earth is a task garden, heaven is a playground. Chesterton and Moltmann, both Christians, were talking about an afterlife, but when they were referring to the kingdom and to heaven, but I mean something a little bit different. As Unitarian Universalists, we know that a better world is possible, a better world for all. Whatever each of us may individually believe lies on the other side of death, our faith tradition teaches that it is possible to build heaven on earth in this life. And I'm not talking about some far-off, distant utopia, but about the ability that we human beings have to open ourselves up right here and now to the life-giving potential all around us in every single moment. And when we do so, we can become co-creators now with the sacred, playing and bringing forth more joy, more beauty, more compassion, more community with our everyday actions. And one way that we can do this is by letting ourselves play, really play, by opening ourselves up to joy and imagination and creativity without restraint, and letting them inspire us to create a better world one step at a time. Play is this absolutely amazing thing. Think of a young child at play. My niece Aspen used to play Princess. It was her favorite game. I remember her showing me her room once when she was maybe 4 or 5 when I was over to babysit. She was wearing a crown and a princess dress, and she carried a little wand as a scepter. She had arranged all of her stuffed animals and dolls on the bed and in a treasure chest. So some were piled up on the bed and some were in this treasure chest across the room. And when she brought me into the room, she wanted to give me orders because she was a princess. I thought at first, oh no, let's not play this game. Let's not play the game about having power over others. I'm not that fun sometimes. But then she told me that there was water all over her kingdom, a flood or something, maybe some kind of natural disaster. It seemed, although she called it water all over. The animals in the chest were in a boat. They were safe, but the animals on the bed needed help. She, the princess, needed to tell me how to save the stuffed animals on the bed and get them to the boat. And I thought that this was so interesting. She was just playing, yes, but this was some serious stuff. She was using her imagination to come up with problems that might face a community. She was thinking through what her responsibilities to that community might be versus other people and what she could possibly do in playing a role. She was trying to come up with compassionate solutions to the problems and ways to enact those solutions. And she was practicing leadership and other valuable skills that we sometimes dismiss as a little girl being bossy. Just as Aspen was playing at making a kingdom a better place, so too can we play to fire up our imaginations about what a better world might look like and how to bring it into being. And our churches are holy playgrounds where we can come together to do that. When I think about a better world, I think of a line from Isaiah chapter 11. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. I'm reminded of the way that different animals play, and the way that that play helps them to not only learn the survival behaviors of their species, but also helps them to learn to be in community with others, even others that are very different from them. And isn't that something that we try to do together in church? Now, right now, I'm not thinking of wolves and lambs and leopards, goats and calves and lions, but skunks and humans. My niece Aspen is 12 years old now and has gone from playing with stuffed animals in the playground of her bedroom to playing with, you guessed it, skunks in the playground of her backyard. When my sister Malia and her family recently moved to North Carolina, they discovered that their backyard was already home to a skunk. She lived in a hole underneath the patio. At first, this realization dismayed my sister and her family, as you might imagine. And yet, as weeks turned into months, they all learned one careful, curious interaction at a time that skunks and humans could live together peacefully. That skunk hunts snakes and other pests in the yard, which my sister very much appreciates as somebody who came from the city and now is in more of a suburban area that definitely has snakes and other pests. In return, my sister and her kids don't shoo away the skunk, which the skunk appreciates, and thus the skunk in appreciation doesn't spray my sister and her kids, which they appreciate. And now 4 months later, one skunk has turned into a mama skunk and a litter of 4 adorable little baby skunks, or stink kittens, as my sister calls them. And these babies are just starting to venture out into the world, and they are way less afraid of human beings than their mama, who stays away from my sister and her family. Not so those babies, though. They come right up to my sister and her kids, close enough to pet. The baby skunks aren't wise enough to know not to play with humans. My sister's kids aren't wise enough to know not to play with skunks. And so they're tapping into this different kind of wisdom. They're figuring one another out, one day at a time, one gentle interaction at a time. And these baby skunks, they play together like kittens, tumbling about and practicing survival skills of their species. They steal small toys and they drag them back to their hole under the patio. They have tried to climb into my sister's lap, which is a hard pass for her, cute or no. It's been 4 months now, and 5 humans and 5 skunks continue to live peacefully in that backyard. No tomato juice needed yet. They've got a mutually beneficial relationship going. It developed through experimentation, openness to possibility, creativity, attentiveness, and embracing joy where they found it. Play isn't just fun and games, though it can be. There can be an element of risk to play, whether it is being sprayed by skunks while tossing them a toy, falling off a bicycle that you're learning to ride, or making a fool of yourself while you're allowing yourself to be silly. But there can also be these absolutely amazing rewards, deep engagement with life, new relationships, new skills, joy, self-expression, renewed appreciation for the world, feelings of freedom, energy and rejuvenation, creativity, imagination, hope. For you cannot have hope without imagination, and play fires up those imaginations. Play is also learning. It is exploration, discovery, experimentation, and practice one step at a time. All of these are necessary to help us learn to build a more just, loving, sustainable world for all. Play can help us build heaven on earth, a kingdom where all people and all beings can peacefully coexist and enjoy life's abundance together. So friends, we need play in our lives. We don't just need play to help us perform our everyday responsibilities more effectively, but to help us live more deeply and make a better world for all. Play is also a healing balm for the soul in a world that so often tells so many of us that we lack worth as we are. Play encourages us to express ourselves freely. Play helps us connect in joyful ways with the forces that give, sustain, and transform life. And play helps us tap into these forces in co-creative ways that bring new possibilities, new ways of being, and even a new world into view. May we all find time in our lives for a little fun. May we find it in us to approach life and the challenges and opportunities of our lives with a playful attitude. May we make space for that which brings us deep joy, simply because it brings us deep joy. May we go play. And now, please rise and embody your spirit, and we're going to sing again quietly with those masks on. I Seek the Spirit of a Child, number 338.
I seek the spirit of a child who meets life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond all art. May I see joy's a gift to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves instinctively, who lights our day with just a smile and shines that light on all we see. Children are real beyond all fears. May I see hope's a gift to our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees delightfully, who clowns in cloud, now golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond all lies. May I see faith's a gift to our eyes.
Please be seated. If you are here in person and haven't yet had your fill of worship, I invite you to return here to the sanctuary at noon for a special broadcast of the General Assembly Sunday service, the largest annual gathering of Unitarian Universalists joining in worship. This service will be attended by UUs from across the nation, and we will have it up on our screen for you to view. For our worship service, it is time now for us to extinguish this chalice and bring our time of worship together to a close. Let's end with the words of Matt Meyer. May we go forward in purposeful rhythm. May we give voice to the melody of our imaginations, the music of our souls, and all the possibilities of a just world that we might together create it. Go in peace.